All right, young scholars, as you have seen throughout the first 2 weeks of the class, HTML serves as the building blocks of web development. This week, if you go into Blackboard and select course information, as always, it provides you with the folders for each of our class sessions. For this recording, we are going to click into 2.5 and open up our 2.5 PowerPoint, which looks like this: PHP examples. That is all we are going to review in this lesson, which will be posted inside this class lecture recording. In order to receive the in-class participation for this week, you're going to look through one of these 6 examples I walk you through and basically write 2 or 3 sentences and email me your description of what you believe is going on with all of them. As I walk you through all of them, keep in mind that the reason I am not going to use the WYSIWYG and I'm going to show you them live on the internet is because when you're utilizing PHP, it has to be live on a web server. And as always, when we are virtual, if you have any questions from the recordings, click into the Zoom link during the scheduled time and ask any questions as you may need. So again, as you saw last week, PHP is commonly used to help us enhance forms. So the first example we're going to go through is going to echo out information. So slide number 2 provides us the echo form data HTML code. And then slide 3 provides us with the PHP code, which would be saved in an external file referred to as echo.php. And if you scroll back into slide 2, is referred here inline form method, post, and then the action to that external echo.php file. So I am going to show you exactly what that does as I have it posted up on my website here. So here is an example of an echo PHP form. I simply ask, what is your name? What year were you born? What is your favorite color? Ideally, if this is working correctly, it simply echoes out information. So my name, Professor. What year were you born? My favorite color, blue. So not only did it spit out, hello, my name, tell me how old I am, it also turned the screen blue. So if you go back to the HTML page, the echo spit out, hello, my name is. It calculated based on the current year subtracted by the year you were born to tell you how old you were and changed the screen to the favorite color. So that is what this PHP code did here. Encoded fave color, changed it to whatever color you put in. Determined your age by the year that it currently is minus the year that you put in order to print out how old you are. By securing whatever the current date is. So if you were to describe this HTML/PHP form for your participation credit, you would simply say that you are inputting information to be echoed out in one instance, simply echoed out for name, professor. In another instance, it's utilized to calculate an arithmetic function. And in another instance, it's used to change the color formatting of the background, the screen, the body color. The next example allows us to write form data up onto the server. And again, this is why I'm showing you straight online rather than with the WYSIWYG, because you need to have your PHP files on an actual live web server in order for them to actually run. So one thing I want to point out with this code is this quote right here needs to be changed to match the ending quote here. Otherwise, the code will not run effectively. So this quote right here needs to match the rest of these other quotes. Otherwise, your code will not run effectively. So we go ahead and change that. See the minor difference there? So you would save this into a file, an HTML file. And then the code on slide 5, you would save this first half and then the second half added together into a file called write.php, which again is called upon for the action of that HTML file. So now we see the same thing, but this time it may be a little different. So let's see what happens when you put in the inputs this time. So this time, all that happens is you're thanked for completing the survey. There's no change, nothing really happens. That's because all this is doing is adding your information to a survey, to a server rather. So if you had a database set up, whatever information you would put into that specific server, it would be sent to that database to be stored. And you're given the simple, thank you for completing the survey message. So if you were to describe this example, you would simply say that you're using a form to write information into a database based on user input. And you could, elaborate on that a little bit as you so choose. The next example is one that is very common on specific boards, message boards, other websites where you may need to upload specific information. So you'll notice how very easy and quick the uploading file HTML code is. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 lines of code. That's all you need. The upload.php file on slide 7 is a little more involved. You'll notice our target path upload slash, that is a directory. So whenever you select a file to be uploaded, that is where it's going to specifically go. If it uploads correctly, it'll tell you, hey, this file, and whatever the file name is, has been uploaded. Otherwise, there was an error uploading the file. Please try again. So you'll notice here the if-else statement, like you may have seen in Java or other programming languages. And now here we have our example. So if I browse a file, and let's say I try to upload this PowerPoint presentation, I received there was an error uploading the file. Please try again. That is because within my FDU directory on my website, I do not have an uploads directory. So when you're describing this example, you're going to want to say that this is utilized in order to upload specific files to a specific folder with specific size limitations, this value here, max size limitation. And the target path needs to be set to a specific directory or folder that is actually on that specific website. Otherwise, there will be an error message displayed. Our next PHP form example is a voting example. Simply asked whether or not you want to end class early or not here. And we're shown a couple different radio buttons like you learned about last week. Should we end class now? No, yes, maybe, not sure. And then the vote.php simply records that information into a text file and creates it inside of a output folder within your web page. So if we show this example, what is your name? We'll use Dylan as an example. And Dylan probably would say maybe. So we'll select maybe for him and then submit. And you're given a thank you for voting option or message, which is your print line here. And the information regarding that record of the vote is simply recorded in a text file, which whoever runs the website can later go in and check all the results. So let's say, there's a class of 30 students. They can all go ahead and vote. And, the professor could see, 10 students want to end class now. And the other 20 say maybe. Professor may just decide to end class now then. However, if there is ever an issue, there may be an error message printed that says could not append to file. The next example is with respect to birthdays. So since the HTML code is pretty lengthy, I'm going to pull it up by viewing page source right on the web here. So it gives you a drop-down option for all the different months and days to select for your birthday as part of the form, which is primarily why the code is so long. So anytime you have option here within a form, that shows you drop-down. And then it links to the bday.php, which is this code on slide 11. Which, similarly to the vote, is going to take all of the submissions and submit them to birthday.txt up on the web server into a folder called output. If there's an error, you'll receive a message could not append to file. If the form submits correctly, it will say thank you for entering your birthday. So let's just say Brooks was born August 8th. And we submit. Thank you for entering your birthday. The code worked correctly because we got the final message we wanted. And now that information of Brooks for August 8th is now stored in that birthday.txt file. And then the last PHP form example we have is a timestamp example, which is going to do the same thing. It's going to store information into a text file. However, in this example, it's going to give specific timestamp information. So you'll see here, whatever time you put your message in, it's going to specifically say, okay, it's 10:38 a.m. That's when they put the message in. And if it's done correctly, the PHP form goes through. It'll tell you, thank you, your comments are important to us. And it will be stored in a timestamps.txt file. The timestamp.php file will be acted upon within the timestamp.html file. The background color is currently orange for this, but you could make it any color you wanted: blue, black, red. Just to show you that you can use CSS, combine all these different functions one by one within each other. So when you look at this, enter your comments. So let's say Dylan is a young scholar. And we submit. Okay, thank you. Your comments are important to us. That means everything went well. Now within the timestamps.txt file, it's going to show us that comment that I just submitted. It's going to give me the time, and it's going to show me the IP address that it was submitted from within that TXT file. So these are all of the PHP examples for this week that we are going to go through. All of these links will be posted up onto Blackboard for you to review as well. And again, pick one of these, describe it in 2 or 3 sentences for your participation points for that class. And if you need be, click into the Zoom link with any questions on that evening. But last but not least, your first homework assignment is after this class. So you're going to create a file called schedule.html to be uploaded to Blackboard. Schedule.html should contain an introduction to yourself, followed by a table including your course schedule and an image you feel represents each of your classes. For example, if you feel a course is chaotic, you may use an image of people playing dodgeball. This may sound familiar to you. Well, that's because if you go back into our first class folder, schedule.html example from class, if you open this, most of this is done for you, what you did in class. The only part you would have to now add is the last section, where you're going to add pictures that now describe each of your classes. And you may refer back to the last example we did in class, the gallery.html, to remind yourself as to how you embed images into a table. Okay, so that's it for the 2-5 24 recording, and I will see everybody face to face on 2/12. Thank you.